channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. My name is Olivia. Today is Friday, July 15th, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you have all been well and you've been stitching and making and creating all of the things. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast where I talk about my cross stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not something you're interested in seeing or hearing, I show it a little bit later on in the video and I let you know in plenty of time that they will be making their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So how have you guys all been? Hope you had a great 2 weeks since we last sat down to chat. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who stopped by and watched my previous video. I really do appreciate each and every one of you that takes a little bit of time out of your day to spend it with me. So thank you so very, very much. Also had a lot of new subscribers over these past 2 weeks, and welcome. Thank you so much for, stumbling upon my channel, liking it, and deciding to stick around to see what I come up with in between my videos. I do want to just start off the video by saying that I am still working. I got a new phone, and of course everything is different on it, and they did something to do with like the color temperature of the video, and I'm basically having trouble from it being like a kind of a bright white, and then it kind of fades into more of like a terracotta color, which is why I'm sitting where I am today. I'm hoping that between the open window, because normally I usually have a curtain over the windows, but today I have the curtains open, and I'm hoping that with the quilt in the background, it's going to pick up sort of like the white from the quilt and not the terracotta from the bricks. But I have a feeling you're going to kind of see some of that anyway in the video, and I do apologize. Allison came out here when I was trying to fiddle with it some more, and she said she was going to look into seeing if there was a way to adjust it, because there should be. Otherwise, the next option would be buying some lights that would go on either side to kind of shine and maybe cut down on some of that color fluctuation. I do have a light that's right here that's kind of shining this way, so just hoping that all of those elements will keep it from changing color as the video kind of goes, and especially as I show stuff, because I definitely want everything to kind of be more true to color and not washed out or really dark. So we'll see if it works. So hopefully you guys will just continue to bear with me while I kind of figure it out. And in 18 months, I definitely know I will be re-upping, because I do not like this phone at all. I do want to say a special thank you to I'm for Birds for your very generous donation to my channel. Thank you so very, very much. So I have had a couple of questions about how my flower garden is doing this year. It's doing better now that we've had several weeks of sunshine. Some of the plants, I feel like, because they had started to grow and then bloom while the temperatures were cold and below average and raining, and I think it kind of kicked them to where they're sort of going dormant again. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to lose them or if they will kind of rebound, or I'm not really sure. I'm totally new at all this gardening stuff, and so I'm definitely learning. But, considering that we had a very wet spring, and, some of the plants did, especially the roses, when they were in the bud phase and it was raining so much, they just sort of molded or mildewed, and then you could just go over and break them off because they just were all, it was not fun. I was very disappointed because I have several rose bushes that I just absolutely love, and I feel like I was sort of robbed. So I cut them all back, and I'm hoping that they will rebloom a little bit later in the summer. But all in all, considering the really cold spring that we had, I feel like everything is doing really good. So I'm excited to see how the hydrangeas do this summer, because last year I planted everything and then we had that really hot weather that just fried everything, and so I didn't get to enjoy them blooming or doing anything like that because all of the blooms were just burnt, and and I just had to cut them all off. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them just like bloom and come to life, and they're starting to do it now. So it's a lot of fun to see them, and I definitely want to go get some more. So as you can probably tell, I still have all of my patriotic decor out. I usually tend, even though the 4th of July is over, I usually do tend to leave my patriotic stuff out until a little bit farther into the month, and then I might remove a few things. I might change the tree out and put sunflowers in it. But for the most part, I will leave some of the patriotic decor out through till the end of summer, because I do really enjoy this time of the year and I love having it out. It's so festive and fun. But I just feel like when it comes to like patriotic, you definitely can have it out quite a bit longer than maybe Halloween or Thanksgiving or Christmas. So I definitely will leave it out for a little bit longer. I do have a new addition. I got a Amish pie cabinet, and I've had my eye on it for about a year, and I finally decided to go ahead and get it. I really love it, and I got it so that I could put some of my drum finishes in there, as well as some of the little smalls. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun decorating it. The trench is still on the table, which I don't know, you can kind of see it right there. I moved it a little bit over. Just because I'm sitting right in the middle, you can't see anything behind me. So everything in the trench bowl is still very much 4th of July, Americana, and then I do have some sewing in there as well, but nothing has really changed except to move some stuff into the pie safe. So I really, really love it. It came super fast, and I think it's going to be really fun to decorate it as we go through the various holidays. All right, so I think I'm going to dive in and start talking about what I've been working on over the past couple of weeks. First thing up is the Boo Crew Mystery Stitch Along, which is being hosted by the Fat Quarter Shop. It started on July 5th, and there's been 2 clues released so far, and then there will be 2 more clues released, and then it will be done. And I've managed to keep up with it, which is really good. Usually I'm the first one to fall behind. But I've had a really good time working on this one, and you can find all the details about the Stitch Along on the Jolly Jabber blog, which is the blog put out by the Fat Quarter Shop, and I will put a link to it down below. But here is my progress. So I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count Shrekie's Tan by Needle Bling Designs with the called for classic colorworks 1/2. And no matter what I do, and no matter what filters I put on the camera, I cannot get the true green color that this piece of linen is. It very much, on everything, shows up as being very tan. But in person, it is a sort of like a swampy green color, which I really, really love. So I'm looking forward to getting back to this one. So the 3rd clue releases this upcoming Tuesday, and I cannot wait. And when I get this finished, I will turn it into a drum. So much fun, so much fun. And like I said, I've managed to keep up with it, which makes me very, very happy, because I can usually, anything, no matter what I do, I can usually, the first clue comes out and I'm usually like on it, and then the second clue comes out and I'm like, well, I'm working on this, I'll just work on it when I'm done with this, and then I just sort of get farther and farther behind. So keeping up with it so far with the first 2 clues has been perfect. All right, the next one is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed by Brenda Gervais with Dyeing Needle and Thread. So I started working on this one probably about a month ago, and I haven't been, it's been in my rotation. You know, I've worked on it like a day or 2, but what often happens is I will end up kind of pushing it aside to work on like Autumn at Hawker and Hollow or one of those pieces. So up to this point in my rotation, I really hadn't sat down and like really worked on it for more than just a couple of days. And so it's in my rotation again. I've been working on it for 3 days. I'll work on it tonight and tomorrow, and then I'll switch. But it'll be the first time that I've worked on it for like 5 days consistently. So here is my progress. So I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus with some of the called for thread and some of the knot, and I am stitching it 1/2. And I will be glad to get the house in there. I feel like, so when I was thinking about working on this piece, I actually debated about taking out there's a border here, and in here there's some words. It says thankful, grateful, blessed. And I had thought about taking them out and then stitching it in something a little bit darker. I don't know that I want to do that. There's a part of me that does, and then there's a part of me that just doesn't want to fool with it. What I was also thinking was that when I go to frame it, I would frame it pretty close, and I would do a darker frame. That way it might help the stitching kind of pop up a little bit. So I'm still kind of trying to decide what to do. I'm hoping maybe when I get more of the house done, it'll help some of the other elements stand out a little bit more. And in the viewfinder, I can kind of see the words. They're not like super defined, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Again, there's a big part of me that wants to take them out, but I stitched here, here, and here, so at this point I could either decide to rip it out and then restitch it, or just continue on. I'm about the halfway point of the words that go around the entire border. So we'll see. I might save it to the end and decide what I want to do. If I do decide to take the words out, then that's something that I won't do while it's in my rotation, because that would take probably an entire evening to go through and rip all of that out. So I don't know. I feel like maybe with this one I should have thought a little bit differently on the linen, but I really do like the Legacy linen. It's one of my favorites. And I don't know, when I thought about working on this piece, I really did want to put it on the Legacy. So we'll see what happens. I was trying to go for sort of like a soft, muted look as far as like the linen and the stitching go. You know, I didn't want it to be like really bold. I kind of wanted it to look like it was a little bit old, like it had been in the frame for a really long time, very faded. That's the kind of look I was going for, so we'll see. I don't know. There's on social media, you can always follow hashtags, and I kind of went and hunted down some of the hashtags that people used for this particular one. A lot of people just left it exactly as it was. They didn't try to darken the wording any, and then other people did. And to be honest, it looks good both ways. So that really didn't help in my decision making. And Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. So I've been working on this one off and on throughout the year. It's just been rotating in and out of my rotation. I've kind of been trying to work on it about twice a month if I can, because the goal for me is to finish this by the end of this year. And the end for me is in sight. So if you remember, I am taking, so there is a row of Halloween blocks right here, and I'm taking those blocks out, and I'm gonna take the bottom row and bring it up here. So once I finish this block here, I will have 2 more to go, and then I'll be done. But in my last video, I was working on the house. I was about halfway, so I was able to complete the house. And then now there is a sign that has different variations of the word pumpkin on it. I just need to finish stitching that, and then there's 2 black cats on top of the signage. And then that block will be complete. And once that's done, I get a drop down, and I think the block that comes next is a big turkey, and I cannot wait. So here it is, all in one piece. It's going to be massive to frame it, and I'm already starting to think about frames. I might go into the Goodwill and see if they have any larger frames that I might be able to get, because I'm looking for something that definitely would be like old, not necessarily beat up, but definitely one that's been around for a while. And not that it looks like it's been around for a while, but just something that looks like it's vintage, it's been in a barn, it's, you know, it's been hanging out, and that's kind of what I see for this piece. It's just something just very, very vintage. And next weekend there is I think it's called Junk Refunk, and in the description of it, it says vintage rusty crusty. So I'm like, we're going. And so I'm hoping maybe I might be able to find something there, because it sounds like it's sort of like a flea market, but maybe more like home decor, rustic type of flea market. So I'm really excited. So it's next weekend. It's only about 5 miles from here. So I am really looking forward to going, and maybe I'll find something there. But one last look. So this comes back into my rotation over these next 2 weeks. And so when next we meet, I hope I have the block complete. That kind of rhymed. But I love stitching on this piece. I look forward to it each and every time it comes around in the rotation. And I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with DMC Threads 1/2. And I did change out a lot of the threads in this particular block. And when I get it done, I will let you know what those changes are. And I think last time I explained that because the house on the chart, it's more of like a yellow, and I wanted to sort of pull down the teal of the birds down to this block and kind of make it look like one of those colonial salt box houses that I just absolutely love and dream of living in someday. My stitching plans for the next 2 weeks will be to continue working on Thankful, Grateful, Blessed. I have that for the next 2 evenings. And then I'm going to switch to American Farmhouse by the Scarla House. And I think I showed that one in my last video. That is a project that's been hanging out in the Mocking Basket of Whips. And I just kind of decided it was time to get it done. So I'm hoping that things will go a lot better than they did the previous times that I worked on it. And it's been several years since I've worked on it. So I'm looking forward to getting back to it, because I know when I get it done, it's gonna look amazing. So I will work on that one. And then I will also work on Boo Crew as well as Autumn at Hawk Hollow. And I'm hoping that by the time I do my next video, I will have that block complete, because my ultimate goal was to finish it by the end of July. So the big hope is to have it obviously done by the end of the year, but I would love to have it totally done by the time autumn rolls around, because I think that would just be so amazing to have it framed and have it hanging up on the wall and be able to finally enjoy it after all of these years. Before I show my finishes, I did have a couple of you guys ask about my rotation and kind of to explain what I do. So I've adjusted it several times over the past couple of years, and Yvette actually kind of helped me, I want to say at the beginning of the year. She kind of because you know, I told her that I wanted to be able to spend a little bit more time on everything, maybe get a little bit more progress, but I wasn't sure how to go about doing that. And then she kind of helped me adjust my rotation. It is a 5-day rotation, so everything that I work on, typically I will work on for 5 days before I rotate to the next project, which does get quite a bit of progress. I'm able to spend a little bit more time on it, because before what was happening is, you know, I'd only have it in the rotation 2 or 3 days. And by the time I hit that 3rd day, I was really becoming acclimated with the project, and then I would have to put it away, pull out the next project, and then get, you know, acclimated working on that one. And I found myself getting kind of frustrated, making a lot of mistakes. And I basically wanted to try to find a way to still have a rotation and still have content for my videos, but make a little bit more progress. And so she kind of helped me adjust things. I do move things around, for instance, Boo Crew. So I only typically spend maybe 1.5 evenings on that before it's complete. And that's just kind of one that just kind of, I work on until it's done, and then I move back and work 5 days on a project. So you can kind of adjust it a little bit. I do like the rotation a lot better. I do know that if I was not doing Flosstube videos, I for sure would be a monogamous stitcher. But in order to have content for my videos, I definitely want to make sure I'm working on several projects. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, and I'll try to explain it in a little bit more detail. Okay, so finishes. I did have a finish over these past 2 weeks. I also had a redo of a finish I showed in my last video, but we'll start with the one that I just finished because I have been dying to show everybody. I haven't posted it on my social media yet. Of course now it'll of course be on there, but I've had it done for basically the day I posted its finish. That night I had it done, and out of all of the finishes that I have done, this one gave me the least amount of trouble. I was expecting hours of sweaty frustration full of sentence enhancers, and it just went together like it was totally meant to have the life in the frame. It was weird. It was very weird. I honestly got it all put together, and then I looked at it and I was like, that's it? I'm done. I was like shocked. But yeah, I thought it was going to be complicated, and I'll explain when I show it to you, but it honestly was the easiest finish I've ever done, and I could easily do it 100 more times if I needed to. It was just flawless. It was really weird. And the finish is Ann Thomas. So I have been working on the middle motif, which is the bird with the flowers that go around him. And I've been referring to him as Walter or Sir Walter. And the reason why is because several years ago, there was a stitch along and they referred to him as Walter. So when I first started posting pictures of my progress, I had a lot of people call him Walter, and it just kind of stuck. So there's a lot of Walters out there, and so now I have a Sir Walter. Now before I show you the finish, I want to explain the frame first. I did get the frame from an estate sale. I believe I got it last fall, and the estate sale was just right down the road from my house. We were actually coming back from someplace and we saw the sign, so we decided to go. They had a lot of amazing stuff, and I saw this frame and I absolutely fell in love with the frame. And before I even got home, I knew exactly what I wanted to put in it. I just needed to find it. And I did track it down. And then there was also another option of a bird I could have went with. And I kept going back every single time to the Ann Thomas sampler and just that middle motif. I could see him in it. So I bought the chart, I had the DMC, some of the DMC threads, kitted it up, and then I did start it this past year. So you guys have seen me working on it, but here is the finish. So I absolutely love this finish so very much. It turned out exactly as I had saw it in my head. The easiest finish I've ever done in my life. So looking at it, you would think that it was an oval frame. And when I went to go take the back off, it actually was like an octagon shape. So the mat board had to be cut in an octagon shape in order for me to fit it into the frame. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that is going to be such a pain in the tuchus. But it literally was the easiest finish I've ever done. I laced it onto mat board, 2 pieces of batting. I mean, it did it exactly like I do my framing. And again, I was expecting that I was gonna have a lot of trouble, but basically, you know, I laced it this way, and then I kind of folded, you know, I folded it in, and then I actually did it diagonally this way, and it just like wrapped around that mat board perfectly. It's perfectly centered on the mat board, popped it into the frame, and again, it was like it was born for this piece. So very, very beautiful. I love it. So this is gonna go in my bedroom. So now that I have this done, I need to also put my previous finishes up on the wall behind it and kind of finish that area of my bedroom. But I love this piece so very much. It's probably my favorite that I have ever done. I just absolutely love it so very much. So can't wait to get it in my bedroom, and just, I've been enjoying it. It's actually been out in the other room, so I've been looking at it. Like every time I walk past it, I can't stop looking at it. It's just such a great finish. I absolutely love it so very much. All right, so one last look, and I think I forgot to say what I stitched it on. So I did stitch it on a piece of 40 count Dusty Road by Seraphim Fabrics with the called for DMC 1/2. And I wish I would have taken a before picture of the frame. So the frame, you could tell that it hadn't really, they probably hadn't applied any sort of, like wood, I guess wax, in a really, really long time. And so I did spend some time doing that, and the wood just kind of sucked it all up. And now it's just very glossy and just so very beautiful. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So I've had a lot of you ask if I do plan on stitching the sampler that is Ann Thomas. And yes, eventually I would like to stitch the sampler. The only thing that I'm going to do differently is I will swap out this motif and I'll put something else there. But that is something like 2033 that I will be thinking about stitching. Okay, so in my last video, I did show this finished. However, I was really, really unhappy with the finish. And let me explain. So there was a lot of things in that video that I just totally forgot all about talking about and showing. And the reason was because I started the video after I had finished it. And I was so disappointed in the finish. I was so upset in the finishing that I just was upset. And then I go and I do the video, and it definitely, there was so much I forgot to talk about in the video about the sampler. And there was a lot of you guys who said that you thought it looked great just as it was. But when I was stitching it, in my mind, I knew how I wanted it to look. And whenever I'm working on anything, when it gets to a certain point, I start thinking about the framing and how I want it to look, and like the color and just everything. And because I'm a quilter, I always look at anything that I'm working on, and when I'm trying to, let's say, add a border or anything to it, the border that I choose is usually something that's going to help enhance something that needs a little bit of help. So when it came to this, I knew that the frame was going to have to enhance it. And the fact that it was sitting so far away from it, it didn't help the sampler at all. And so I was very frustrated because in my mind, I knew how it should look, and it didn't look like that. And I was really upset with myself. Felt like I had let my sister-in-law down. I just felt horrible about how it looked. And when you spend months and months working on something, when you finish it, you need to finish it the way that it makes you happy, because you've taken a lot of time on it. So when the video was over, while I was waiting for all the different elements to back up, I took the whole thing apart. I took the frame out to the garage, and I just took it out. I pressed it. And then I think it was the next day, my husband helped me cut it down. So we actually took 3 pieces off. Or no, we took one side, the bottom, and we left the one half together because I could not get the staples out of that one side. So we were able to trim it down. And after we had trimmed it down and I laid it on there, it still did not look right. And I still felt like it needed to come in even more. So he cut off a little bit more. And as soon as I took those elements and I put it together, it was perfect. The sampler just sprang to life. So definitely cutting it down, giving it sort of like a narrow border between the outside border of the stitching and the frame was definitely the way to go. Christmas Garden by Blackbird Design. So I stitched this sampler in honor of my sister-in-law who passed away in November. And here is the new refinish of it. So again, the moment that I put the frame pieces together and laid it over the top of the sampler, it just sprang to life. And those elements of it that were fading just kind of popped up and said hello. So I really, really, really love it. It's so much better. This is exactly how I had envisioned it in my head when I was stitching on it. And something that I did learn was it's definitely all in the borders. So this border here is very soft and muted, whereas all of the other borders that I have stitched, especially like in Anne Priest, the outside border of Anne Priest was very bold. And so she didn't need any help from the frame that I put her into. But this one definitely needed a lot of help from the frame, just to kind of help some of those very soft elements stand out a little bit better. So I stitched this on a piece of a 36 count Dusty Road by Seraphim Fabrics, 1/2, and I used the Vicky Clayton silks. And I absolutely love it so very much. I love the colors. It's so very soft and feminine, and I really think that she would have loved it. So, a few things that I did. So on the sampler, I did stitch her name here. Originally, I was going to do it 1/1, but I realized I had this nice big open space, so I just stitched it in regular size letters. Her date of birth and date of death, I did stitch it over 1. I did add the little house. The house came from Feast of Friendship. And because my sister-in-law was a very faithful woman, devout woman, I added a cross to celebrate that. Then I added the initials of her parents. This is her mom, Annette, and her father, Robert, is right here. Her 2 brothers, Tim and Terry, then my husband, Brian, and then her husband, Ken, and her 2 kids, Kelly and Kevin. So there was a lot of repeating initials. But I really, really, really love how it turned out. I have it hanging up currently down the hallway, just because right now I don't really have a good place to put it. I think this will be a piece that kind of gets moved around, and at Christmas time it'll probably be brought out and put out in the other room. So, but for right now it hangs up down the hallway, so I do see it every single day, and I really just love it. The frame was one that came from my stash, and again, it's been cut down quite a bit, but I really do like the fact that it's a little bit more snug, and it actually went, so like the lacing and putting it in the frame and all that went so much easier than it did the first time. Again, I think it was totally meant to, you know, be a little bit of a snug finish. But I really love it, and I'm very, very, very happy with the finish now. So lots and lots of fun. And I definitely think that she would have gotten a kick out of it. So I love having this tribute piece to her. Since he was passing by, I thought I would grab Fred and show him in my video, because I did forget to last time. He is absolutely filthy, and he is going to get a bath as soon as I'm done recording this video. He decided yesterday that he was going to run like a crazy person through the freshly churned dirt, so he definitely looks like he has brown paws instead of white. And he also stinks. So he definitely needs a bath. So in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and thank you so very much to everybody who played along. I really enjoyed reading through all of your comments. And I am glad to know that I am not the only person that absolutely loves scissors and would collect all of them in the universe if she could. But Amy from the Purple Pistachio on Etsy, she donated a scissor fob. And here is the scissor fob. And the winner of the scissor fob is Libby Elder. So congratulations, Libby. If you can get in touch with me via email, I will put my information down below in the description box. Send me your address. I will get this in the mail to you. And thank you again for playing along. So Amy at the Purple Pistachio did provide a coupon code if you are interested in purchasing any of her scissor fobs or zipper pulls. And in the checkout, if you put in pumpkin 15, you will receive 15% off of your purchase. And thank you so much to Amy for providing that code as well as the giveaway. So thank you so very much. So this video also has a giveaway. And these items were sent to me from the Fat Quarter Shop over these past couple of months, and it just seemed like a good time to give some of them away. So if you are interested in any of them, what you will need to do is, of course, be a subscriber, like the video, and answer the question down below. And since there are 5 different options to win, you will need to put which ones you are interested in winning, 1 through 5. So number 1 is the Oh Dear Cross Stitch by It's So Emma. Number 2 is Cut, Press, and Sew by Lori Holt and It's So Emma. I believe. Did I get that right? Yes, I got that right. Vintage Housewife, also by Lori Holt. This is number 3. Number 4 is Sleigh Ride by It's So Emma. So this is number 4. And number 5 is Bloom Where You Are Planted by It's So Emma. So if you are interested in any one of those, you need to make sure to put that down below in your answer. So the question that you will need to answer down below is, what is your current stitching project? So let me know what you're working on down below. I know it's kind of an easy one, but I'm curious what everybody is working on. So let me know down below, and in my next video, I will announce those winners. Once again, thank you so much for playing. Well, my friends, as far as all of the cross stitching goes, that is all I have to show and talk about in this video. I am going to start talking about quilting next, so if that's not something you are interested in hearing about, this is a great stopping off point, and I will be back in 2 weeks, and I hope you have a great one. Otherwise, stick around. All right, let's talk about quilts. So in my last video, a couple of you guys were a little disappointed because I didn't really have a whole lot of quilting to talk about. And that does happen from time to time. It just kind of depends on what's going on. But that particular 2 weeks, I really just didn't have too terribly much going on. And I almost didn't even talk about quilts in that particular video, just because I didn't really have a ton, except for I think I was working on the Simple Mysteries 3, Simple What Nots, Simple What Not Mystery, Simple What Not 3 Mystery Stitch Along, I think is what it was called. And I'd only really been working on that, and that was it. So, but that is going to happen from time to time. It just kind of depends on what's kind of going on in my life. However, I do have quite a bit to talk about in today's video. The first thing is I did get a little bit of happy mail from the Fat Quarter Shop, and it is very much quilting related, which is why I waited until right now to show it. But they sent me the 6-inch Vintage Kite Quilt Block Foundation paper. And it looks like it would be a lot of fun. I kind of glanced at it a little bit, and it definitely, you know, even if you do the paper piecing foundation, I think this one is very kind of advanced a little bit, just upon glancing at it, kind of the way you construct it. But I know when it's finished, it would be an amazing block. And it's probably a heck of a lot easier than when I just happened to look at it. But I'm definitely curious about this and what it would look like in a whole entire quilt. I think it would be amazing. So that is what they sent me. And if you are interested in purchasing this particular one, it is available on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I will put a link down below. So I did have a couple people ask me on my last video where I purchased my reproduction fabric. I kind of purchased it from all over the place. I get it from Etsy. I also have a local quilt shop called the Speckled Hen Quilts, and I do shop there sometimes, but mainly Etsy. I have been known to buy some at the Fat Quarter shop. I also, there's a couple of shops back east, and I can't think of what the name of they are right off the top of my head, but I will put a link to their websites down below because I do purchase from there once in a while, and I know they have great service. I don't really purchase a whole lot, at least definitely not in these last like 5 months. I've kind of like scaled back a lot just because disposable income isn't what it used to be. Right now, a lot of it's going to gas and food. So I haven't really been buying a whole heck ton, but every once in a while I do find something. And I also do shop at Thousands of Bolts. They do have not like a huge selection, but you can get some really nice reproduction prints there as well. But yeah, I just kind of shop all over the place. All right, Black Bonanza. So I ended up working on this one over the past 2 weeks. I had June and July's blocks to work on, and I was able to finish both of them. So I am officially caught up, which never, ever, ever happens when I'm doing a block of the month. It's amazing. So the blocks that I finished were this one, and I actually finished this one this morning. And this one, I really, really love this one. And this one. I really love the colors. So all of the fabrics are from Joe Morton's line called Rose. And I am doing this as a block of the month. However, I do believe you can buy it as a full kit, and I have seen it on Etsy. I know at one time the Fat Quarter shop had them. So you just type in Block Bonanza. You might put in Rose Joe Morton and see if it comes up. And if I think about it, I will try to go and do a quick search and maybe throw a link down below. But I was able to get all of those done, so I am caught up. I would really, really like to get back to working on my Civil War tribute quilt. That's kind of what I was working towards while I was working on them. So I hope to have some of those to show you in my next video. I did have a mini quilt finish. So this is the Simple Whatnots 3 mystery stitch along that Kim Diehl was hosting. It started the beginning of June, and I think it went until either the end of June or right before the 4th of July, or right after. I feel like it went like about 4 weeks. But it was a lot of fun. I absolutely love it. I think this is going to look great on my end table. And I did mine all out of Civil War reproduction, as well as some Kim Diehl that I had in my stash. And I love it. The quilting motif that I did is just some simple ribbons, and the backing was some that I had in my stash, but you can kind of see the quilting motif a little bit. So I love it, love it. So I'm glad that I participated, because sometimes those I don't really think about participating, or I think, oh, I don't really have the time. But I'm glad that I did, because I had a lot of fun making it. My friend Retha also made it with me. So it was a lot of fun to make ours together. And before I forget, the quilt that is hanging behind me is called the Constitution Quilt by Primitive Gatherings. It came out of the book Stars and Stripes Gathering, which I believe is still available. I don't know if the fabric line that I did mine in is still available. I have seen pieces of it kind of all over the internet. I believe it was called Stars and Stripes Gathering, the same as the book. They did put out another patriotic fabric line that came out last year that basically is very similar to this one. But it was a lot of fun. It's really easy. It's a simple log cabin block, so very beginner friendly if you're thinking about doing it. You just have basically the white and the red. But I really love it. It has the star. I mean, the only thing you're probably gonna have a hard time finding are these little stars right here. And that was part of the same fabric line this came out of. And then I've had a lot of people comment on the binding, and they were curious if I did the binding out of the scraps, and I could not figure out how they were seeing that. But I realized because I don't really use a thick binding, all you can see is like a little sliver of it, and it's a very dark blue that was in the fabric line. But I think they were seeing this outer the outer pieces, and they were thinking that was the binding. But the binding is all one continuous piece, and it is sort of like a blue with a little bit of stars in it. But very, very easy quilt to do. I absolutely loved working on it, and I would highly recommend it. Even if you're a beginner, I would highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. And if I think about it, I will try and put a link to the book down below. And every once in a while, I feel like I see this as a kit on the Primitive Gatherings website. So if I think about it, I will try and look for it. If not, feel free to send me an email, and I'll try to give what information I know, and then hopefully help you a little bit. So anyway, I think in my last video, I showed this particular one, and it was the Stars quilt that I am making. So I was able to add another row, and the row that I added is the bottom one, I believe. Nope, this top one is the border that I just recently added. So I was able to make 9 more blocks, and so now I have 3 rows. I think I have to do 9 altogether to make a nice lap size. So I will continue working on that one. Basically what I do is I go out and I will pull some colors, and I will cut them out, and then I just stack them up, and whenever I have some free time, I will just assemble 1 or 2 of them, and as long as I'm trying to get 4 done one week, 5 done another, so that way I have the 9. But I just little by little, and hopefully sometime later on in the year, I will have a finished quilt. All right, one last quilt that I am working on, and you guys are probably thinking I'm nuts, and I feel nuts sometimes with all of the amount of projects that I have going on, but I'm just so obsessed with making all of the reproduction quilts. I just can't help myself. But I have been working on Wendy Pickett's by Lamb Farm Designs, and I'll put a link to her website down below. I was able to make 6 blocks, I think. Yes, 6 blocks, and I need 41. So I got a long ways to go. So I made that one, and I made that one, and this one, and that one. And I've just been taking a lot of the fabrics from my scrap bin and cutting them out for this block. So I hope to get a few more of those made as well. I think that's going to be another project where I just go and I cut up a stack, and then I just kind of assemble them when I get a chance. So I don't know how often you'll see the Wendy Pickett's, but at some point I also hope to get that one done too. And I usually, both of these projects stay out all the time, so I'm constantly seeing them. Just like with Black Bonanza, and just like with Civil War Tribute. I mean, I can't go an hour without seeing one of them somewhere, so they are constantly calling to me. So hopefully as time goes on, I will have more, they'll just continue to grow, and I will eventually have them finished. Now, I did get a package in the mail from Regina. She sent me this card, which is so awesome. And when she was going through some stuff, she came across Civil War Tribute had a alternate cutting for month number 7, so she sent me that. It was for this one here. So she had messaged me and said she was going to send it to me, but it didn't travel alone. She sent me some fabric. So I was absolutely spoiled. So she sent me all of these beautiful reproduction, and I really am thinking that some of these might need to be a Christmas quilt. Some more, they're just so gorgeous. I love this one right here. Oh my gosh, I love them. Love them so much. So I have been petting them. A couple of, just love them so very much. And then she sent me this kit called Leftover 9-Patch. And I just left it all together because I don't want any of it to fall out. And I don't think this one is going to be too terribly hard. And I am really tempted to work on it sometime this weekend. Because again, I am absolutely obsessed with reproduction fabric. Oh my gosh. It is crazy how much I love it. But I think that when you finally find like your happy place as far as like stitching or quilting, it makes you so happy to just surround yourself and all of that stuff, and just working on it just makes you so happy. And so finding, finally realizing that I love Civil War reproduction, I love working with it, and once I embraced that and stopped worrying about what other people thought, my quilting bug just exploded. And now if I could just sit down and only quilt and only stitch, I honestly would be happy forever. If I didn't have to do any housework or anything, I would be totally happy. So thank you so very much, Regina. I'm gonna have a blast putting this quilt together, and again, I think I might have to do it this weekend. Because why not, right? Well, guys, as far as all of the quilting goes, that is all I have to show and share in this video. And if you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very, very much. I really, really do appreciate each of you who stick around and you let me know that you've stuck around till the end and that you love the quilts. And especially those of you who say I inspire you to start working on quilting or Civil War quilts. That makes me so very happy, because I love inspiring new quilters to be quilters, or quilters to be new cross stitchers. I just really love it, because I honestly don't know where I would be without my hobbies. They just they bring me such joy and they keep me company, and I just really love creating. So it makes me really happy when I hear that I've inspired you guys to either cross stitch or quilt. So thank you so much. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. And of course, I will be back in 2 weeks. So I hope you have a great couple of weeks. I believe that will put me at the very end of July. And I think the video comes out on the last day of July, which I can't believe we're already halfway through the month already. It's just crazy. But I'll be back in 2 weeks, and I hope you have a great one. If you'd like to see what I am up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page which is called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and I will put a link to both of those places down below. Otherwise, I hope you have a great 2 weeks and you get lots of stitching or quilting done, and I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.